Ayodhya, where there is now, of course, the countdown to the inauguration of the Grand Ram Mandir on the 22nd of January. In the run-up to the inauguration, Prime Minister Modi today has in fact revealed several new infrastructural projects in Lord Ram's city, including the Maharishi Valmiki International Airport and the Ayodhya Dham railway station, before he spoke to the people of India and the people of the world through the city of Ayodhya, making an appeal to all to visit the city. However, we now see that there is some politics because, of course, it is election season and there is a lot of what is now being called invitation politics as far as the inauguration of the Grand Ram Mandir in Ayodhya is concerned. We'll take you through what is it that certain political parties are saying one by one. There is, of course, to begin with, an Uddhav Thackeray, whose father, remember, Balasaheb Thackeray, played a massive role, in fact, in the Ram Mandir movement. However, he says that he has declined the invite. His party leader, Sanjay Raut, today said that the BJP will be announcing Lord Ram as their candidate also for the elections. Meanwhile, Akhilesh Yadav, on the other hand, has spoken out on the question of getting an invitation for the consecration ceremony and said that no one really gets invited to go to a temple and the gods will call us whenever they want. The BSP, meanwhile, has said that everyone must go for the inaugural ceremony of the Ram Mandir and that Mayawati will surely be there. Meanwhile, the Congress party has confirmed that Sonia Gandhi has received the invitation but continues to be deliberating on whether or not she will be attending. Meanwhile, her party leader Shashi Tharoor has linked the Ram Mandir inauguration and the Babs Hindu temple inauguration, predicting that the BJP will surely be basing its 2024 campaign on projecting Narendra Modi as the Hindu Hriday Samrat. The JDU, meanwhile, says that the party will surely participate if they are invited, and added that just because the BJP is a rival, they are not the party's permanent enemies. What does that really mean, though? The bottom line is clear that the country, of course, will be celebrating Ayodhya like a festival, as it probably should. And this gave our politicians an opportunity and a chance to rise above the politics for once. However, who will really choose to see this as an opportunity to unite versus those who see it as an opportunity to divide will be very clear as we inch closer to the inauguration of the Ram Mandir. But why exactly are we indulging in this politics? I try to make sense of that. I have with me on the broadcast Sanjeev Mishra of the BJP, Vineet Goenka, political analyst with us, Professor Bhuvan Bhaskar Joshi of the SP also with us, Major Journalist Sudhakar Ji with us on the broadcast, and Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist with us on the broadcast as well. Let me begin this conversation with Sanjeev Mishra. Sanjeev Mishra, has the BJP now managed to extend an invite to all political parties for the inauguration? Sanjeev Mishra, can you hear me? I'll have to request you to unmute yourself, sir. Okay, all right. I think we'll try to get Mr. Mishra. I'm not being able to hear you, so I'm going to have to request you to please unmute yourself for me to have a conversation with you. There won't be a point to this conversation without the BJP. But let me then go across to Professor Bhuvan Bhaskar Joshi of the SP. Professor Joshi, what really is a clear stance of the Samajwadi Party as far as the inauguration is concerned? Your party leader Dimple Yadav has said that she surely will be present. Will Akhilesh Yadav be with her as well?
देखिए, मैं जब अपनी बाल्यावस्था से एक गीत को, धार्मिक गीत को सुन के आ रहा हूँ, और उस धार्मिक गीत का आपने भी सुना होगा, जितने पैनलिस्ट साथी उन्होंने भी सुना होगा, चलो बुलावा आया है, माता ने बुलावा है. The call is coming from Mata, not from any political party, not from any nyas. We have never listened that. और जब माता बुलाती है तो हम जाते हैं, जब राम भगवान बुला रहे हैं तो हम जाएंगे। हम कौन होते हैं रुकने वाले? नोबडी कैन स्टॉप हिमसेल्फ, बिकॉज हम लोगों को लगता है कि जब माता का कॉल है, राम का कॉल है, तो ये तब तो हम अपने आप बनाए चल पड़ते हैं। और वही माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने कहा है कि जब राम का बुलावा आएगा तो हम बिल्कुल जाएंगे। और माननीय डिम्पल जी ने कहा मैं जाऊंगी, और कभी निमंत्रण भी ना आए तो भी हम जाएंगे। और दूसरा माननीय शिवपाल जी ने कहा मैं तो परिवार के साथ जाऊंगा। तो राम सबके हैं, और भगवान राम तो इस देश के कण कण में है। भगवान राम ने जो अपने शासन काल में जो टिप्स दिए हम लोगों को, उस पर अगर सरकारें चलती तो आज स्थिति अलग होती। लेकिन निश्चित तौर पर राम की राजनीति करना अलग विषय है, और राम के आइडियोलॉजी को फॉलो करना अलग विषय है। मैं कहना चाहता हूं आपके चैनल के माध्यम से, राम एक दर्शन है। हम लोग उसका राजनीतिकरण करें ये किसी के लिए अच्छा नहीं है। हालांकि कोई एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी करती है, पूरे देश को पता है, लेकिन उनके विचारों पे वो नहीं चलते हैं। क्योंकि राम राज्य में कहीं भी नहीं लिखा है कि महिलाओं के साथ दुर्व्यवहार हो, जैसा कि मणिपुर में हुआ है, जैसा कि आपके पहलवान बेटियों के साथ हुआ है, जैसा हाथरस में हुआ है, जैसा कानपुर में हुआ है, और जिस प्रकार किसानों की हत्या हुई। ये राम राज्य की कल्पना से बाहर की बातें हैं। निश्चित तौर पर राम राज्य में सबको सद्भाव, किसी जाति धर्म वर्ग के साथ भेदभाव ना हो, सबकी चिंता हो, सबकी रोजगार की चिंता हो, ये राम राज्य था। उस पर चलना एक अलग विषय है, जो मौजूदा समय में सरकार नहीं चल पा रही। हाँ, राम की राजनीति कर रहे वो अलग विषय। हमारे लिए राम राजनीति का विषय नहीं है। हम लोग धर्म की राजनीति नहीं करते, हम लोग राम के बताए मार्ग पे चलने की कोशिश करते।
Okay. Sanjeev Mishra, if you can hear me, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to respond, because even in what Professor Joshi has had to say, he says that there is clearly a party that continues to use Lord Ram as a political tool in the nation, and it's not just the SP that says that. The TMC has said that we will not be going for the inauguration because we don't want to mix religion with politics. CPIM has said that, and there are several others who are not yet sure what really they will be doing come 22nd January. How does the BJP then respond to these charges? Okay, I'm going to request if we can ask Mr. Mishra to maybe join the conversation again, because like I said, it becomes infructuous if I can't give him an opportunity to respond. Mr. Mishra, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, sir. We can hear you now. Please, thank you. Go ahead. How do you respond to these charges that are being made?
देखिए नाविका जी, मैं बहुत क्लियर आपके चैनल पे कहना चाहता हूं कि विपक्षी दलों के पास आज ना कोई इश्यूज हैं, ना कोई मुद्दे हैं, ना इनके पास जनता है, ना इनके पास ऐसे लोग हैं जो आकर के आगे लड़ाई या धरना प्रदर्शन या इस तरीके की बात कर सकें। ऐसे में ये भगवान श्री राम को जिस तरीके से मुद्दा बना रहे हैं, अरे भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने तो कभी नहीं चाहा कि आप दूर रहें। आप आज उनके साथ खड़े हैं जिन्होंने भगवान श्री राम के मंदिर को बनने में बाधा पहुंचाई। आज 500 साल के बाद इस तरीके की जो घटना होने जा रही है, भगवान श्री राम का मंदिर बन करके तैयार हो गया है। ऐसे में पूरे देश में नहीं, पूरे विश्व में खुशी की लहर दौड़ गई है, और पूरे विश्व के लोग आ रहे हैं, जो चुनिंदा लोग पूरे विश्व से आ रहे हैं। मैं कहता हूं कि आज तो विपक्षी दलों को चाहिए था, उनका भी स्वागत करना चाहिए था। लेकिन जिस तरीके से आप या तो बुलाए जाएंगे तो आप नहीं आने की बात कहेंगे, आप नहीं बुलाए जाएंगे तो आप कहेंगे हम तो जाएंगे ही। बिल्कुल 22 तारीख के बाद सबका आगमन हो सकता है और सब लोग जाएं। मैं तो विपक्षी दलों से खासतौर से कहना चाहता हूं कि वो सारे लोग अपने कार्यकर्ताओं के साथ जाएं, भगवान श्री राम से सद्बुद्धि लें और आगे बढ़ें, देश को आगे बढ़ाएं। जिस तरीके से आदरणीय मोदी जी ने विश्व पटल पर भारत का नाम आगे किया है, एक स्थापित नाम हुआ है। पहले हम लोग जाते थे कहीं से वैक्सीन लोगों से मिन्नतें करके मांगा करते थे, आज वो देश में वैक्सीन बन रही है। तो ये बहुत बड़े चमत्कारी और जो घटनाक्रम हो रहे हैं, उनको देखते हुए विपक्षी दलों को तो मैं सलाह दूंगा कि सद्बुद्धि से काम करें और भगवान श्री राम के मंदिर भी जाएं और उनसे प्रेरणा भी लें। और जिस तरीके के आरोप लगाते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि अब उस तरीके का आरोप लगाना और अपने राजनीतिक दल को भी आत्ममंथन करके, आत्मचिंतन करके, जैसे गायत्री प्रजापति जैसे बलात्कारियों को मंत्री बनाते हो फिर हटाते हो,
काउंटर दे दीजिए।
इन सब चीजों पर आपको
Okay.
काउंटर दे दीजिए, काउंटर दे दीजिए मैडम। हेलो मैडम, काउंटर दे दीजिए।
Okay, Professor Joshi, I'll come to you. I'll come to you just in just a moment. So, Sanjeev Mishra, I'm really struggling with your connection there. But let me bring in Vineet Goenka into the conversation. Vineet Goenka, before this becomes a bit of a political tutu meme between the BJP and the SP, which I really don't want it to become. What do you think then today is the thought process of certain political parties that continue to feel that the construction of a Ram Mandir in Ayodhya is a large political tool, and for them to say that this is the BJP clearly mixing religion with politics? Is it a mix of religion with politics, the BJP constructing a Ram Mandir, backing it with full force, developing the city of Ayodhya for tourism?
Devika ji, Ram Ram to you, Ram Ram to all my co-panelists, all the viewers who are watching me right now. This is an auspicious moment, and this is once in a millennium activity. In the last 1,000 years, I have never seen this kind of grand thing which is going to happen on 22nd has happened, barring the independence of the country. So this is a very big movement, and we are very fortunate that we could see this in our own lifetime. My father, my grandfather, they have sacrificed their life, they have died without seeing this, even after being part of the agitation for so long. One. Number two, this is not only about the temple, but the entire economy around there. Now the airport which has come up, the railway station been better. I would like to recall the day when I visited there. I visited there multiple times, but I could visit there on late December of 2015 when Shri Akhilesh ji was Chief Minister and Ram Naik ji was the governor. He had invited my family to stay with him for a couple of days. And as part of that stay, we went to Ayodhya. The condition in 2015 December when Chief Minister Akhilesh ji was there was so bad that we were unable to get down the car. The roads were not cleaned, it was very narrow, Surrey was dirty. And I'm also recollecting the unfortunate day when Akhilesh's father, Mulayam Singh ji, was Chief Minister, when he shot innocent Ram Sevaks and then threw their body in Surrey. Kothari brothers were victims of those bullets which were fired on them. So I could recollect how this family has been against the entire movement, against the people who have been part of this. Anyhow, I would request through your channel also to Uddhavji, who's son of Babasaheb Thackeray, that he should not fall so low, rather participate, celebrate this event. So once again, through your channel, I would like to request everybody who's watching this. This is a grand celebration. This is a day. And also those who would think it is not an economic activity. Already dozens of hotels have come up, hundreds of eateries have come up, the road infrastructure have come up, there has been infrastructure, and now Lucknow and Ayodhya are like a twin city. Earlier it used to take a couple of hours to travel, now it is like a twin city. So once this comes up, I'm sure employment for thousands of people will come, and that's what Ram is meant for. Ram is meant for giving bread and butter to everybody, love to everybody, and I hope Mulayam ji, who fired on the innocent car sevaks, and Akhilesh ji, who decided to keep Ayodhya undeveloped, also gets some sense, and Akhilesh ji and his wife and his family visits Ayodhya.
Absolutely. Let me bring in Major Sudhakar ji as well. Major Sudhakar ji, it's the politics around it is a little bizarre, because on the one hand, if you get an invite, there is a problem. If you don't get an invite, then there is a problem. On the one hand, you say that, okay, we don't need an invite to visit Ayodhya. Of course, it's the abode of Lord Ram, and it's open to everybody, not just Hindus or Indians, anybody and everybody from the world who wants to go, it's open to them. Then you have the opposition continuously saying we should not politicize the matter. Who really is then the politics stemming from? Like I said, on the one hand, if you get an invite, you have a problem. You don't get an invite, you have a problem. If you get an invite, you want to say we'll think about it because we don't want to mix religion with politics. So our presence there at the inauguration will probably be mixing religion with politics. What is the confusion about, and why is this being turned into something which it ideally should not be turned into? For a lot of people out there, this is a massive moment of a healing touch that is taking place, and it will probably culminate on the 22nd of January. It truly will be a day that most people in Indian history, in recent Indian history, will end up remembering for many decades or years to come.
Yeah, Devika, good evening. Thank you, and compliments to the co-panelists for having given a perspective, a befitting perspective of a historic milestone which is going to unfold very soon in the subcontinent of Hindustan or India. You also would be wondering, what question do I ask, or do you ask a military man? I was also wondering in the last minute when the coordinator was trying to reach out to me in 3 minutes' time, as to why should a military general be brought into a discussion which is loaded with politics. Well, as a military general, I do not see any politics. I see that Hinduism is a religion which is actually facing a lot of lack of unity all over the world. And by saying this, I do not mean to sow the seeds of dissension or distinction or separatism. I am only calling out the reality. What is the reality? Way back in 1921, there was a magic weapon which was invented or discovered or developed in China. It was called as the United Front, to bring CCP and the KMT groups together. Because after the Japanese aggression, China experienced lots of turbulence amongst themselves because of socio-economic inequalities, socio-economic major and serious fault lines. India is no exception. We came into existence as a nation state only in 1947. We are still, after 75 years of independence, we are yet to address the socio-economic fault lines. We have major ones. We have the largest number of languages. We have largest number of religions. We have the huge mass base of castes, subcastes based on occupation. We have a huge base of ethnic tribes and host of other things, So therefore, what I am coming to is, this is what our ideal fodder or raw material being provided on a platter to China to keep India unsettled. That is to cause disunity amongst our populace and also make India a restive kind of a nation state, destabilize, so that the political stability, which is the center of gravity of growth of a nation, is denied. And elections are around the corner by 2024. And this United Front Work Department, the other name or translation of Chinese name is the magic weapon, which had been developed by none other than Mao Zedong, is in its full play. And when I say when in its full play, what it means is that it has identified the fault line and carrying out three major activities in our polity. What are the major activities? First and foremost is to penetrate into a political system and attack those minds which are most vulnerable, create a narrative, and that narrative is going to be against India, which is actually adding on fuel to the fire, number one. Number two, the elitist people of our country also have been targeted without realizing. I don't have to take names. They are speaking the language which China is actually clapping and sitting on a balcony. They're actually clapping and enjoying the fun. Third and most important thing is the media. Media has been penetrated largely, Devika, whether you accept or not, and without our realizing, we have started talking the language which China expects us to talk. The rest all is a matter of reality. How the money of China has come into the subcontinent. They're consistently and persistently trying to push in too many agendas through Pakistan, through Maldives, and they are succeeding in the radicalization. So having said all this, when I talk about a culture, having given the preamble ab initio, that culture is driven by the unity of a nation. The unity of nation is going to take India into a $30 trillion economy, or say 40 trillion by 2047 and ahead. If that is the target that we have to achieve, then what is happening in Ayodhya is something to make all of us feel proud of. As a soldier, I feel there is no politics in what is happening. I do not see any politics. I only see that if we do not unite and fight, or the kind of situation which has been created by forces inimical to India will be falling a very serious prey into the hands of our enemies. Therefore, friends, I would appeal to each and every one of our citizens, come together. Let's see the very, very grave and serious design which is under play and trying to create a lot of differences amongst ourselves. Let's see some light at the end of the day to bring unity so that the India can march ahead in its progressive and forward-looking path. Thank you, Devika.
Okay, Himanshu, but bringing you into the conversation as well
Yes.
here and understanding your perspective. Will the opposition somewhere, you feel, be successful then in pushing this narrative that the inauguration of Ayodhya Ram Mandir before a general election of 2024 is in fact the BJP's biggest poll plank, or that the BJP is using this to create momentum for its own campaign of 2024, or will they fail and this assessment, as per you, on the part of the opposition has been entirely wrong, that today in the sort of India where we live, the people on the ground will not be witnessing the inauguration of a Ram Mandir as something bitter that has happened?
Okay. Now, before I come to the polity of the whole thing, I would add a little to Mr. General Sudhakarji's talk. And I would say that, sir, I humbly believe that after 75 years of independence, India has matured out. And when I say India, I mean Bharat. Bharat has matured. That means the people of Bharat are matured enough. They are understanding the meaning of cultural nationalism, which is being depicted through Ayodhya to the world and to the people. Now, when this cultural nationalism brings progress, people look at nowhere. And that is where these politicians of our past, age-old politicians, do not seem to understand the minds of it, the minds of Bharat. And that's why when I say, unity, yes, there might not be total unity. But what is happening is, majority of the populace of this country has come to understand their cultural roots. And when that happens, the unification of a nation becomes very, very easy. We might be very, very diverse, but we are one when it comes to Sanatani Sanskrit. And that is where I believe that the time has come where the people of this country, without politicians doing anything, will throw them out. It's those politicians that will be thrown out. And that's why I believe, when we are talking of 2024, it's not only Ram Mandir. Ram Mandir and Shri Ayodhya Shri. Shri Ayodhya Shri complex is just a symbol of modern Bharat, which people need to understand. Whether you want to go there or not, it's your personal choice. And you have to exercise that. But when you see, by and large, every Bharatiya, every Indian wants to go there. And so that's why they understand those politicians. When they say, if they are invited, we will not go. When they say, when they are not invited, they will say, anyway, I will go.
Yes.
People understood that. One has to realize that what happens is, after a gap of inertia, if I talk in the language of science, after a gap of inertia, there is always an awakening. And it is this cultural nationalism. The symbol is going to be Shri Ayodhya Shri. And you will see the results in politics in the elections of 2024. That's all. Devika.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Professor Joshi as well into the conversation. Professor Joshi, I'd just like to understand from you, does the SP view the Ram Mandir and view what is happening in Ayodhya as a uniting factor in India? A movement that can truly bring India together?
Sir, unmute kar de.
Professor Joshi, I'm going to have to ask you to unmute yourself, sir.
आपको आवाज आ रही है?
जी, yes.
आज मुझे थोड़ा समय दीजिएगा, क्योंकि मैं 4-1 से खेल रहा हूँ। 4 खिलाड़ी मेरे विपक्ष में, मैं अकेला अपोजिशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हूँ, इसलिए मुझे सबके जवाब देने हैं। मैं पहले तो आना चाहता हूँ विनीत जी के बात पे। विनीत जी ने बताया था कि जब अखिलेश जी की सरकार थी, अयोध्या में विकास कुछ भी नहीं था। तो मैं इनको याद दिलाना चाहता हूं, जब ये वर्ल्ड क्लास एक्सप्रेसवे में जाते हो, अगर इनको सौभाग्य मिला होगा लखनऊ जाने का, आगरा से लेकर लखनऊ तक के एक्सप्रेसवे में बनाया था, वो माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने बनाया था, जिसमें देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी हरकुलस उतार पाते हैं, वो माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी का। और मुझे पता है विनीत जी एनसीआर में रहते हैं, तो विनीत जी एनसीआर में एलिवेटेड रोड में जरूर चढ़े होंगे, जो माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने बनाई थी, जिसपे कि गाजियाबाद से दिल्ली तक की सभी जो दिक्कतें थी जाएंगी और समाप्त हो गई।
प्रोफेसर जोशी, तो अखिलेश यादव जी जाएंगे इनॉग्रेशन में, नहीं जाएंगे?
नहीं मैडम, ये तो मेरे साथ नाइंसाफी है मैडम। ये विषय इन्होंने हमारी पार्टी पे बड़े ताबड़तोड़ वो लगा दिए, बीजेपी और वाले ने विनीत जी को भी बीजेपी का।
देखिए, मैंने तो एक बहुत ही सीधा क्वेश्चन पूछा है प्रोफेसर जोशी। I've just asked you a very simple question. The Samajwadi Party, does it view the Ram Mandir and Ayodhya as a uniting factor for India?
मैं आपकी बात का जवाब दे देता हूं, लेकिन ये मेरे साथ नाइंसाफी है, मैं आपके चैनल में कहना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि इन्होंने मेरी पार्टी के साथ इतना सारा आरोप लगा दिया बीजेपी के लोगों ने। मुझे इनके अभी रावणों का नाम तो लेने दीजिए, बीजेपी में कौन कौन रावण है, ये जो बता रहे थे एक प्रजापति के बहाने हमारे पे, इन पे तो रावण 10 है, वो भी बताने दीजिए, देश को पता
क्या हुआ? गायत्री प्रजापति के बारे में बोलने में दिक्कत आ रही है क्या?
मैडम मेरे को बताने
सजा भी हो गई।
मैडम बता नहीं देंगे, बताने नहीं देंगे,
कर रहे हैं।
आप मेरे साथ अन्याय।
Sanjeev Mishra and Professor Joshi, Sanjeev Mishra and Professor Joshi, we don't hold discussions this way.
अरे अपनी बात रखो भाई।
पता क्या
सब लोगों के ऊपर आरोप।
I asked the question, Professor Joshi, I asked the question.
आपने बिल्कुल अन्याय करा मैडम मेरे साथ, जब मिश्रा जी बोल रहे थे समाजवादी पार्टी के, तब आप लड़े क्या बोलने दे रही थी?
Sorry, Professor Joshi, you were the first person to speak in the debate. Please do not accuse me of any sort of biases or that I'm being unfair to you. You were the first person to speak in the debate, and you also made charges against the BJP. Take a minute to respond to the BJP, but the whole conversation can't be about BJP versus Samajwadi Party. No, we're trying to have a larger conversation here. This is why it becomes so difficult to have political conversations today in India, and nobody wants to hear our political party spokespersons, because you completely make us lose track of what truly is important and what we should be discussing. So I'm going to give you the floor now, Professor Joshi. Please take a minute to respond to the charges of the BJP, but please then eventually come to my question also, sir, because my question has a much larger bearing on the future of India, I believe.
मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, जरा इन्हें चुप कराइए।
अब
मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, ये
Mr. Mishra, Mr. Sanjeev Mishra, this is not how I conduct my debate, sir. If I have given the floor to Mr. Joshi, please allow him to speak.
संजीव मिश्रा जी को मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, इनके जो बृजभूषण सिंह हैं, जिन्होंने वहां पर यौन उत्पीड़न करा पहलवानों को, वो किस पार्टी के आते हैं मुझे बताने का काम करे। इनके गृह राज्य मंत्री चिन्मयानंद शर्मा जी, जो रेप केस में स्टूडेंट के साथ जेल में गए, वो कौन सी पार्टी के आते हैं?
गायत्री प्रजापति जी को तो सजा हो गई।
You know, I want to now ask both the political party spokespersons, who's politicizing Ram Mandir now? You've been brought on a very specific topic, on a very specific debate, whether the political parties will be attending the inauguration or not, and if not, why? What is keeping you from associating yourselves with the Ram Mandir, and then you accuse news channels of not doing their job?
मैडम मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, हमने राम मंदिर पर अपना पक्ष रख दिया, लेकिन जो एलिगेशन विनीत ने लगाए हमारे ऊपर, मैं इनको बताना चाहता हूँ, इनके मुख्यमंत्री की शपथ ग्रहण समारोह नहीं हो पाता अगर इकाना स्टेडियम नहीं होता। इकाना स्टेडियम अखिलेश यादव जी ने बताया विनीत, तब उसमें आपके मुख्यमंत्री शपथ ले पाए। कहां शपथ ले पाए? उत्तर प्रदेश में एक स्टेडियम नहीं बन पाया आप 7 साल के शासन में। आप अखिलेश जी से तुलना करोगे योगी आदित्यनाथ की? अखिलेश जी तो विकास पुरुष है, उन्होंने तो लैपटॉप देने का काम करा।
Professor Joshi, Vineet Goenka is free to compare Akhilesh Yadav and Yogi Adityanath or any other two people. Okay, absolutely pointless conversation. I just have a minute or so left, then I need to move on as well. Major Sudhakar Ji, the last word with you, sir. Okay, because you're someone who's not related to either politics or journalism. So I leave the last word to you because I've been accused of being biased and unfair right now. I just want to understand from you, when you witness this sort of politics still happening in our country over something that ought to be a uniting factor, something that ought to be seen as a final healing touch, because let's not forget that very soon a mosque will also be coming up very close to the Ram Mandir. When something of this nature is happening in our country, what does it make you feel, sir, as a citizen who watches this sort of politics continuing on and on in our country 70 years later as well? Why are we not being able to move forward?
Giving me this chance, the only way to counter this united front work department is to do exactly what the present dispensation is doing in terms of practical reality. The physical object must be visible. 80% of the nation are Hindus. Sorry, as a military man, I'm not supposed to talk in terms of religion, but the reality, the fact of the matter is that I have been abroad, visited large number of countries. One thing glaring and very deficient which has caught my attention is that there is a lack of unity amongst the Hindus. And we have been decimated, battered nice and properly over a millennia. The invaders who have come into our country do have systematically decimated our culture, our belief system, our practices, and the identity as such. So therefore, it's about time, if India does not wake up and become a resurgent India after 75 years of independence and feel proud and assert itself about the sovereignty and the identity, I think we are heading for a doomsday. Enough of compliments can actually still fall short for the present dispensation. For me, there is no political party. There is only one political party for a military man, that is Hindustan. The national interest will always take primacy over all other things. All these disputes and the counter arguments and arguments taking place in the media is a waste of time. We need to understand and act collectively. The very design and the game of our adversary is trying to bring us together, fighting, with hand blows at each other, and so that we do not have unity in the country, so that it can further invade. If I tell you that, you also will be shocked. There is an article which has come out in 2010 by a military general in China, which says that Mao Zedong is the only man who was a visionary. He had captured Aksai Chin. He had plans to capture then. The article was written in 2010, but it is referring to something prior to 1962.
Yes.
He had aimed to take Aksai Chin. Just one more line, Devika. Because Aksai Chin, capture of Aksai Chin by China is a sword of Damocles hanging on the head of India. And the moment Aksai Chin falls in their hand, it will be very easy for China to, in one sweep, roll down to Delhi, capture right up to Mumbai in one stroke without much of effort. The entire northern India would have been chopped off. Thank you, Devika. Back to you.
Okay, Himanshu, but I leave the last word with you. I just have 30 seconds. I just want to understand from you, when we talk then about a new India or a modern India, does the opposition somewhere need to reassess the fact that perhaps an India of today or a vote bank India of today, where you're particularly thinking about how your presence at a certain place may impact your vote bank, may make people of a certain community upset? Maybe that's somewhere that one is thinking about. Do they need to now reassess this approach and realize that maybe the India of today is actually more interested in a politics of development, in a politics of Vikas, in you giving out a very clear plan that this is what we'll achieve for you if you were to vote us in power, rather than whether or not you were attending the inaugural ceremony at at Ayodhya?
Very, very true, Devika. See, India of today, the youth of today, India is called a young nation. Our average age is 27 years, if I'm not mistaken. In 27-year-old youth, what is he bothered about? He's bothered about development, his future, what his future will be. And if we desire to be the top 3 economies by 2047, we need to do work. Then we need to do a lot of work. In that, this age-old politicking is not going to work. People have understood these days. You are seeing the signs. And that's where I said, the cultural nationalism is bringing the country together. People are reposing their faith in something which they had lost. after umpteen years of rule by someone. I'm not going into the political parties. All I am saying is the first 60 years of rule in a nascent stage, when a nation was in their childhood, was not proper.
Yes.
When we have become young, when we are matured today, when we know what we need to do, that is the time that people need to understand in politics that their age-old politics of jodo, todo, this, that is not going to work now. That toolkit politics is going to go now. People are not going to accept if you say that we 28 are together and pose for a photograph. People are not going to believe that. That 28 will have to come together, chalk out a plan and say, this is our agenda for the coming 5 years or coming 10 years. This is what we will do.
Yes.
Then people might listen.
Okay, I've completely run out of time. I've exhausted a lot of time. I wish we could have had a more straightforward conversation with the BJP and the SP as well, but maybe some other time.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.